We will end inflation and make America affordable again. We're going to get the prices down. We have to get them down. It's too much. Groceries, cars, everything. We're going to get the prices down. We will cut your taxes, end inflation, slash your prices. But prices will come down. You just watch. They'll come down, and they'll come down fast.
One of Donald Trump's signature campaign pledges was to end inflation and slash prices. But now that the election is over, he's changing his tune. In the cover story for Time magazine, just released today, Trump was asked to consider whether failure to lower grocery prices would, in turn, make his presidency a failure. He responded, "I don't think so. It's hard to bring things down once they're up. You know, it's very hard." Trump's sudden bout of honesty here follows an interview with NBC's Kristen Welker, who asked Trump last weekend whether his plans for widespread tariffs might actually raise prices for Americans.
Can you guarantee American families won't pay more?
I can't guarantee anything. I can't guarantee tomorrow.
Joining me now are Faz Shakir, chief political advisor to Senator Bernie Sanders, and Michelle, currently, I'm not sure, is that the right introduction? Michelle Goldberg, opinion columnist for the New York Times. Faz and Michelle, thank you both for being here tonight. Faz, we'll correct your intro in the outro. I do wonder if you are at all surprised that Donald Trump is actually saying explicitly out there in public, yeah, I probably won't be able to lower grocery prices, and tariffs might actually raise costs on American households.
I mean, are we surprised? Well, it is the reality, but he's also making a choice of the things that Joe Biden was doing to try to address prices. Namely, a Federal Trade Commission was investigating price gouging, was fighting a Kroger and Albertsons merger, won a big victory this week. That's an effort to try to keep prices down. What does Trump do? He moves aggressively against that. Says, no, my FTC, all my billionaire friends, they don't like this kinds of stuff. So we're going to end the regulation. So even the action that could be construed as helping to bring down prices, he's actively against. So, of course, he has to land at, well, there's nothing much we can do here, guys. So, I've campaigned on it, but good luck to you all.
Michelle, I don't know. When he literally said it's hard to lower prices once they go up, it's like, I mean, of course, you know, the emoji with the head with the explosion coming out of the top of the head. I mean, does anybody hold this individual to account for saying something like that and for admitting the reality that the prices very well may not come down at all?
Well, the chances to hold Donald Trump to account for anything are gone. People may, in fact, hold the Republican Party to account if they find that their economic situation hasn't improved or in some cases has gotten worse, because Donald Trump, as Faz said, he's going to, replace Lina Khan with somebody who is much more in favor of all kinds of mergers and unfair trade practices. He's going to open up the government to all of his billionaire cronies. He's going to, or people in his administration have plans to kick people off of Medicaid or make it harder for them to get. And so in a lot of ways, but there's always been something of a divorce between the way that Donald Trump performs and the way that he is seen by his most fervent acolytes. So you already see Republicans' perception of the economy changed overnight after he was elected. And so for a lot of people, their perceptions of the economy and even of their own economic situation is highly partisan. I guess the question is about the people who are maybe more disconnected from politics, who voted for Donald Trump only because they thought that it was going to reverse inflation or reverse some of the post-COVID economic changes that they blame on Joe Biden, whether they will be disillusioned when they find that none of these promises are going to be kept.
I mean, I just feel like, Faz, today was such an indicator. I mean, in the stagecraft of today, with him ringing the bell at the New York Stock Exchange in front of the picture of him on the cover of Time magazine, was really Donald Trump's greatest dream come true, but also a statement of principles and priorities. Like, this is where he's always wanted to be, surrounded by wealthy people, with more wealthy people coming to support him in his administration, on the ringing the bell at the Stock Exchange and saying this. Let's just listen to what he had to say. This is today at the NYSE. I think we have it. It's a
We're
fee
cutting
they
your
don't pay.
taxes. We're going to cut them very substantially. We got them down to 21% from probably 42 or 44%, depending on where you are. And we got them down to 21. Everyone said that was a miracle. Now we're getting them down to 15, but only if you make your product here. Otherwise, you pay 21, which is not bad.
It's all about corporations, Faz. This is it. This is who he is. This is who he's always been. This is the Trump tax cuts on steroids that we're about to see in the second term. What did you make of that?
I remember when you and I know we fought for 15 for a long time. There was raising the minimum wage to 15. Here, his fight for 15 is to lower the corporate tax rate to 15. And the question you have to ask yourself is, like, what problem are you trying to solve? Honestly, what's the issue here? We got strong economic growth, billionaires and wealthy people doing great. The stock market's up. So if you're going to come around and you're going to offer people a tax cut to large corporations, wealthy people, what problem are you trying? There isn't really a problem. The issue that we have to address is greater income and wealth inequality, in which people are getting screwed around in the middle class, and he's offering nothing right now. And one thing, this is where the influence of the billionaire class is really important, because when they're around him, they're advocating, if you're a billionaire, how did you get that rich? You usually found a way in the tax loophole, some regulatory carve-out that helped you get rich. That's how you have things like the hedge fund loophole in the tax code. So if you're a hedge fund billionaire, you get favored taxation. That's what they're looking for. That's what they're fighting for. That's the kind of stuff we, as Democrats, have to be fighting to put onto the agenda against these guys who want to just dole out favors to the billionaire class.
You know, Michelle, I mean, I absolutely understand what you're saying by the time to hold Trump accountable is over, right? I mean, in theory, he's not running again. But holding the Republican Party accountable, they are going to fall in line lockstep on all of this. They have shown no interest in departing from anything Donald Trump has proposed. What should Democrats do, given how naked the ambitions to coddle the richest, given how naked Trump's ambitions are here, and how explicit the favoritism towards the corporate class, the corporate billionaire class is? I mean, what is the correct response from Democrats?
I mean, I think that what the correct response is some of what you've seen a lot of kind of bipartisan overtures, a lot of willingness among certain Democrats to say that they're going to vote for various members of Trump's prospective cabinet. And on the one hand, I understand you just lost an election. You kind of have to, you can't act as if you won it. At the same time, I think that for a lot of Democrats, they feel like the party that's supposed to be leading them is just kind of rolling over and showing its belly at a time when, we're on the verge of, as Chris Murphy said, on the verge of a transformation into a kind of fully corrupt oligarchy. And so you would like to see Democrats both fighting that and also just pointing it out. I think it's really important for people to understand. I mean, there was a perception of Donald Trump for a long time that Donald Trump represented a fundamental break with, say, Paul Ryanism. That people hated Paul Ryanism with its lust for tax cutting and entitlement reform and all the rest, and that Donald Trump was a different kind of Republican who had a different kind of economic policy. And what we're seeing instead is, at least so far, the signs are that this incoming administration is going to be, with some exceptions, tariffs and the like. But in terms of its attitude towards both the government safety net and towards income inequality and taxes is going to be, Paul Ryanism on steroids.
Faz, do you think one part of this resonates more deeply with the American public than another? And by that, I mean, like, the tax cuts he talked about explicitly on the campaign trail and he got elected. But having a cabinet, having an upper administration that is worth $340 billion, like, that's a new thing. That seems like if you're a working class American that thought Donald Trump had it out, was going to be fighting for you, does that have more resonance? I'm just wondering what of the data that we've gotten so far about what this administration is going to look like and how much it is an oligarchy or a kleptocracy in the making. What part of that do you think is most effectively weaponized as Democrats try and make the case that Donald Trump is not a friend to the working class?
Well, we got to, I mean, right now we're watching them fight among themselves and a billionaire class and a lobbyist group in D.C. to get their agenda, because obviously he's not president yet and he hasn't put forward his tax bill. We haven't gotten the tariffs yet. We haven't figured out where his immigration raids are going to do. We got pretty decent judgments about where they're likely to go, but we don't have the concreteness. And when the concreteness comes, I think Michelle was mentioning that there is a lethargy out there. It bothers me a lot that among a Democratic crowd that isn't quite at the same level of ready for the fight. And I'm hoping that once the actions start coming, we got to fight. We can't take these lying down if he's making decisions that are going to totally kind of ruin the next generation of America in a major way with terrible financial judgments and decisions. So I'm hoping that when he starts to make some of these, and you and I can start to figure out some of them, like when a billionaire class in the Doge suggests that we want to end Meals on Wheels, food stamps, cut Medicaid, find all kinds of cuts that really disproportionately hurt working class people, that's mobilization time. That's action. Now you got the harmed recipient, the people we know have been purposefully targeted by Trump. That I think hopefully gets us to the place of let's engineer a movement in America.